makes the music of the spheres. I don't remember whether I told you yesterday or not, but if I did, please forgive me. I'm going to tell you again. The best example, because I've told this story so many times that I was sitting, so help me, in the Washington Cathedral in a worship service, and Sam Lloyd, dean of the cathedral, got up and told my story and never even knew it was mine. And I almost rose up from the pew and said, "Whoa!" But anyway, it's this good a story. And I laughed. I laughed at it later. I didn't care a bit about it. It's such a good story for demonstrating this. And the story is that several years ago, I was in St. Philip's Cathedral in Atlanta talking to adults. It was a supper meeting, and we were doing a wide-ranging conversation about a lot of things. And the virgin birth just keeps popping up, whether you like it or not. It just does. And somehow it's become sort of the sine qua non for talking about sola scriptura in many ways, and historicity. So it came up, and I talked and batted it around and whatever. And the EYC was serving the supper, and when supper was over, they were cleaning the dishes like this, and there was this kid, 16, 17 years old, no more than that, who was scraping the dishes, and as we talked more about the virgin birth, he got slower and slower until he almost took the porcelain off the plate, but that's okay, like this. And then finally he gave up and went to the door and was standing there looking. And ultimately, before the evening was over, he was halfway up the steps to the gallery. And when the meeting was over and everybody left, he came up to me and said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "Certainly." And he said, "It's that virgin birth thing. I don't understand." And I said, "What don't you understand?" And he said, "Well, it's so absolutely beautiful, it has to be true whether it happened or not." That's orthonomy. That's orthonomy. That is a perfect emergence expression. Perfect emergence expression. And it rests on the truth of the narrative, not on the truth of the verse and the subverse. It is not a citation to chapter and verse. It's a citation to the lived story. And it's based on the belief that we are and become the story we tell ourselves, and that we are told by God. It is a direct blow on sola scriptura. It is also a direct blow on many emerging Christians who are not emergent. And here we get to the dichotomy. And it's a real offense to Judaism. If we had a rabbi here, and they're people of the book, they're people of the story. But if we had a rabbi here, 9 times out of 10, he would interrupt me right now if I went on and didn't do it myself. He would interrupt and say, "That's the Keatsian heresy." Based on John Keats' line, "Beauty is truth and truth is beauty." And can you really say that it's beautiful, knowing that the devil is more attractive, even in John Milton's Paradise Lost, that the devil is more attractive sometimes than is the angel of God? Is there not huge danger here? Well, of course there is. I said earlier, emergence is not the be-all and end-all. It's got problems. It just happens to be. That's all. And we're not going to change the fact it is, but we can look at it honestly. This is the Keatsian heresy, if you are of that persuasion. I'm not sure I'm of that persuasion. I think there's more truth here than there is heresy. I really do. And I'm always surprised at Judaism's response to this. And so, what is emerging Christianity that's not emergent going to answer with? Well, it's going to go over here, and it's going to reinvent or resuscitate. It's going to resuscitate from philosophy and from physical science, believe it or not, a word, theonomy, which is their way of saying the thing that's right is the thing that pleases God. And we're very close to a new form of sola scriptura. Very close. And it is the reason that Mark Driscoll, whom I seem to be quoting now, he's sort of the poster boy for the absolute end of emerging that's farthest from emergent. It's Pastor Driscoll. It's the basis on which he denies women any space in his pulpit. It's the basis on which he is deeply concerned about the gay issue and will not allow gays in, self-professing gays, for the foundationalism of him. So that all of these sympathies are there, but there is this tension And this is the line of attention. You cannot talk about emergence Christianity as if it were a monolith. Don't make that mistake. The sensibilities inform that attitude, but it's not a monolith. And it's on this level of tension. This is the spectrum on which it works. All right. Having said that, I want to draw my quadrant one more time. And are you in real need of okay. Here is about 10%. Now, what I'm going to do is a real distortion. Okay, it's a real mathematical distortion of the thing. So I'm going to ask you to imagine, and it's a pure imagination, that this right here is 50%. Okay? I'm doing it simply because that little dot is 50%. I'm doing that simply because I need the other space to write in. Okay? And that this is 10%, more or less. That leaves us 40% in between here. 40% of the whole of Christendom, 40% of each quadrant. And it's important to realize we're talking 50% of this quadrant is going to be up here, 10% is here, here's the 40%. Or of the whole thing. Either way you go at it. All right. Around this swirl, around this water spout of stuff coming out, there are concentric rings of about, right now, 10% each. They're supposed to go all the way down, okay? Up here, right against the reactionaries, if you want to call them that, that's an ugly word, but if you want to call them reactionaries, up here, they're the traditionalists. They probably really aren't 10%, but for purposes of argument, let's say that they are. Right below them is the retraditionalist. And right below them is the progressives. And right below them is the hyphenated. Don't worry, you never heard that word before. I know you didn't. I made it up. It's my contribution to the scholarship here is I made up the word. And it was applicable for about 6 weeks before they all lost their hyphens, and now it's not applicable. It makes me so mad. Anyway, the traditionalists are those people. And if anything really obscures this discussion, it's having people say, oh, this emergence thing is just the younger generation, or the emergence thing is a generational problem. Because what that really means is the speaker is saying, we're going to get over it. That really annoys me. It's the same thing as remember that great Carol Burnett joke that kids and their grandparents get along so well because they have a common enemy? I love that one. I love that one. And it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the assumption that this is generational. I've gone now, I don't know how many cohort meetings. That is where you go into a city and the people from all the cell churches have come together under the oak tree to meet. And about half of them are as white-haired as I am. They may not be as old, but they're as white-haired. This is not a generational thing. Disabuse yourself of that. Now, having said that, it is also true that younger people are more adept at the computer. And the computer is a key to this. It works. It is a self-organizing thing because of the computer. And so there appears to be greater facility among the young. But the empathy, the sympathies, the resonances are across the generations. I will say, again, and it's narrative, it's qualitative rather than quantitative. As I travel around